Hello students, this is Professor C. A. Tanuja Bhatti from Jain College of Engineering, Belagavi, Department of MBA. Today we will be seeing the revision lecture on Module 1, Introduction to GST under subject Indirect Taxation. So under Module 1, Introduction to GST, this module covers the below: GST Act and Rules, Need for GST in India, Dual GST Model, CGST Act 2017, SGST Act 2017, UTGST Act 2017, IGST Act 2017, Goods and Service Tax Network, that is GSTN, GST Council, and functions of GST Council. So today we will be revising each aspects that is covered under your syllabus under module 1. So moving ahead. So let us see the theory notes so that we can revise each aspect covered in your module. Okay. So first, as you all know that GST is an indirect tax. Now what is the difference? But quickly we'll revise each and every aspect. What is the meaning of direct and indirect tax? Direct tax means where the person paying the tax to the government, he directly pays the tax to the government. It is progressive in nature, means the person who is earning higher income have to pay higher tax to the government, and the person directly, whoever is earning the income, directly pays the tax to the government. Indirect tax means here the person paying the tax to the government will collect the tax from the consumer or customer and pays the tax to the government. It is regressive in nature, which means that customers are all the customers, irrespective if they are rich or poor, they will pay the tax equally. Now, burden of tax under indirect tax is shifted to another person. Example, GST and basic customs duty. So, indirect tax is what? Tax that is indirectly paid by an individual. That is, it is collected by the person who is paying tax to the government will collect the tax from the consumer and pay it to the government. So, GST is an indirect tax. So, let us see some features of indirect tax. It is an important source of revenue. Now, from direct tax and indirect tax, the major source of revenue that the government gets is through indirect tax. Now, indirect tax is a tax on the commodities and services. As direct tax is a tax on the income, but indirect tax is a tax on the goods and services. Shifting of the burden means the person who is paying tax to the government shifts the burden to the ultimate consumer. So the person who is paying tax to the government is not burdened. He is transferring the burden of tax to the consumer. No perception of direct pinch. Now, since uh, indirect tax is a tax that is paid on the goods and services, therefore in many a times in goods and services the amount will be inclusive GST, so you don't have a direct pinch of paying the tax indirectly. Next, inflationary. Now, inflationary means because the tax is imposed on goods and services, so the tax will directly affect the price of the goods and services and it may lead to inflation. Wider tax base. Like direct tax has a lower tax base, but indirect taxes have a wider tax base because many products and services are covered under indirect tax. Promotes social welfare. Like many goods which are sinful or which are harmful products like tobacco, alcohol, and there the higher taxes are imposed by the government in order to promote the social welfare. Regressive in nature, as we have already seen that irrespective a person is rich or poor, everyone has to pay equal tax when it comes to indirect taxation. So suppose on cell phone a particular tax is being levied, even if it is purchased by a rich or poor, same amount of tax has to be paid. So it is regressive in nature. Now what is the need for GST in India? It removes the cascading effects of taxes. Before GST, there were various different taxes like service tax, VAT, excise. in that there was tax on tax, but GST removes the cascading effect of taxes, that is, it removes the effect of double taxation. To increase threshold limit for registration. Earlier for service tax, the registration was if anyone was having a turnover of more than 9 lakh had to get registered under service tax, but that is not in case of GST, because in GST you all know the threshold limit, it is 20 lakhs and above in case of services and 40 lakhs and above in case of goods. So the limit has been increased to provide relief for small businesses. Now here in GST there is a scheme of composition scheme which provides relief for small businesses, plus the businesses whose turnover is less than 20 lakhs need not get themselves registered. So therefore there is many relief provided for small businesses under GST, but this was not the scenario pre GST regime. To reduce procedural compliances, earlier there were so many taxes like excise, there was service tax, there was VAT. So there were so many compliances to be followed. But now all the taxes are replaced by only one GST. So only GST related compliances has to be followed. So there will be only one return for output tax, there will be only one return for payment, unlike the earlier thing. To ease the process, GST is very simpler when compared to the earlier processes. Regulating the unauthorized sector. GST helps in regulating the unorganized sector. Like many a times in the earlier taxes, the sectors were not organized, but now under GST, there is the sectors have been organized and there is a regulation for that. Not possible to set off between different duties. What used to happen pre GST regime, like before GST, excise duty, whatever has been paid, it was not, cannot take the credit for that in order to pay VAT, and vice versa. Therefore, there was a need of GST, non-integration of VAT and service tax. Same like in case of service tax, whatever tax is paid on services as service tax and whatever tax was paid under VAT, there was no set off possible between service tax and VAT, because service tax was administered by the central government and VAT was administered by the state government. Double taxation of transactions on both goods and services. Earlier, there was lot of uh, double taxes on the same goods. Like first, the goods were charged to tax to excise duty. Then the same goods were charged to tax to VAT. But now that double taxation effect is removed because of GST, and therefore there is a need for GST. Why there is a need for GST? Because there are deficiencies in the earlier system. To remove those deficiencies in the earlier system, GST, there is a need for GST in India. Now, what are the taxes that are subsumed or replaced by GST? Under central, the taxes that are replaced by GST is service tax. You all know service tax is a tax on services. Excise duty is a tax on manufacture. Additional customs duty, that was a tax on imports. And CST is a tax that was paid on interstate supply of goods and services. Next is taxes replaced under GST under state taxes, VAT. Now, VAT was a tax that was levied under intrastate supply of goods. Entertainment tax, that was levied on the entertainment. Octroi, that was levied on the interstate transportation of goods. And luxury tax. So therefore all these taxes have been replaced and now there is only one tax, that is GST. Next, now what are the items that are outside GST or non-taxable items? That means these are the items on which GST is not applicable. That is alcohol for human consumption. GST is not applicable. It is outside the purview of GST as of now. And 5 petroleum products like crude oil, diesel, petrol, natural gas, aviation turbine fuel. So these two products are outside GST. That is, GST is not levied on this. Therefore, they are called non-GST or non-taxable products. Now, what is GST? We know that GST is nothing but a tax that is levied on the consumption of goods or services. So, this is the meaning of GST. It is a destination based tax. Now, what is the meaning of dual GST? Dual GST means Earlier, certain taxes were only administered by the center and certain taxes were only administered by the state. But now dual, that is both center and state, will simultaneously levy GST on the taxable supply of goods and services. Therefore, it is called dual GST, where both center and state simultaneously will be levying GST on the supply of goods and services. Now let us see what are the components of GST. You have CGST. Now CGST is levied on it is full form is Central Goods and Service Tax, and it is levied on all intra-state supply of goods and services. The maximum rate that can be charged under CGST is 20%. Now SGST is a state goods and service tax. It is again levied on intrastate transaction of goods and services. The maximum rate is again 20%. UTGST is Union Territory Goods and Service Tax. It is levied on all the Union Territory. Wherever Union Territories are there and wherever they supply of goods and services, UTGST is levied there. And the maximum rate is again 20%. IGST is levied, it is Integrated Goods and Service Tax, and it is levied on the interstate supply of goods and services. And the maximum rate that can be charged cannot exceed 40%. Composition cess is a cess that is levied on all luxurious and sinful products, and composition cess rate may vary from 3% to 200%. Next, let us see transactions like in pre-GST and post-GST. What are the different taxes that were levied? Now, if the sale takes place within the state, under GST regime you will charge CGST plus HGST. Under old regime you used to charge VAT plus Central Excise and Service Tax. Now, sale within Union Territory or in the new regime, that is GST era, we charge CGST and UTGST. But in the old regime, depending whether it is within state or interstate, we used to charge, on whether it is goods and services, we used to charge VAT, Central Excise and Service Tax. Now, sale to another state, in the new regime, we charge IGST, but in the old regime, that is pre-GST regime, we used to charge Central Sales Tax or Excise or Service Tax. Next. Now, let us see the different act. CGST, SGST, UTGST and IGST Act. Now, let us see where these acts are applicable. Now, CGST Act is nothing but Central Goods and Service Act. It applies to whole of India. The maximum rate is 20%. Now, SGST Act applies to again to all the it is collected by the state governments with state legislations. Okay, whatever taxes collected under SGST, it is collected by the state governments who are having state legislations, and the maximum rate that can be charged is 20%. Now, UTGST Act, it is collected by the Union Territory without state legislations. Again, the maximum that can be charged is 20% of tax. Integrated Goods and Service Tax is levied on all the intrastate goods and services, supply of goods and services. This amount will go to the central government, and central government will then give certain proportion of it to the state government. It applies again to whole of India, and maximum rate that can be charged is 40%. Now, what is GST and network? See, in GST you have to file returns. Returns means you have to make payment of GST to the government. You have to file the returns of your sales, and you have to show details of your purchases. Now, where will you do all this? So there is a network that has been made. There is a site for that, that is www.gst.gov.in, and this site is a common portal, electronic portal, where the suppliers or where the registered person can file their returns, okay, and can make payment of GST to the government. It is a common portal for interaction between the government and the registered GST payers, and this portal is accessible over internet, okay, and it is a one single common portal for all the GST related services. So this software is being developed by Infosys Technology, and this software provides services, user-friendly services to all the taxpayers in respect of filing their returns, making the payments, registration, etc. So there has to be a common portal, right, in order to communicate to the government, and this is nothing but this is a site that is called a GST network, which is www.gst.gov.in. Next, What is the functions of this GSTN include? GSTN means what does this network do? So it helps in registration, it helps in settlement of IGST, it helps in matching the tax payments, it helps in getting various MIS report to the central and state government, it helps in providing analysis of taxpayers profile, it helps in matching the engine, reversal and reclaim of ITC also can be done under this. Now next is GST Council. Now what is GST Council? See, obviously there is if any recommendations, if any changes or any introduction of a new provision has to be made under GST, who's having that authority to make? So government has set up a GST Council. Now GST Council is nothing but a council which has been formed with the help of certain members who takes all the decisions related to GST, like any rectification has to be made or any new provision has to be brought in, any amendments have to be made, any changes. So all these decisions are taken by the GST Council, and the members of the GST Council is, there is a chairperson who is the Union Finance Minister, there is vice chairperson who is chosen from the member of Ministry of State Government, and there are other members like Union Minister of the State who is in charge of the revenue, they are the members, and the ministry in charge of finance or taxation who is nominated, or any other minister nominated by the each state government. So every decision of the GST Council is taken by voting, okay, and based on that vote and a recommendation GST Council makes, they can make the amendment, changes, bringing in new provisions, laws, or making changes in law relating to GST is done by GST Council. Next, functions of GST Council. Now, what is the functions of GST? Like, what does the GST Council do? You all know GST Council comprises of certain members, where the finance minister is heading it, which is who is nothing but who is Nirmala Sitharaman as of now. So the council is headed by the Union Minister, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, with all the finance ministers of all the states in India. So, what are the functions? What does this council do? It is to make recommendation to union and states on important issues like what are the tax rates, what will be the exemptions, threshold limits, if there is any dispute, how should be the resolution process, etc. It will also make recommendations. It will also recommend the date on which GST is to be levied. Now we know that there are 5 petroleum products on which GST is not levied. Later, if the GST Council decides no, that there has to be a date from which GST should be levied on that items, so this recommendation also can be made by the GST Council. So this is one more function of GST Council. The other functions are they can make recommendation. The GST Council under Constitution is required to make recommendation on the following. So the taxes, cesses, surcharge and other which may be subsumed under GST, that can be decided by the council. The goods and services that has to be subjected to exemption is recommended by the GST Council. Modern GST laws, principle of levy, apportionment, how the IGST has to be apportioned, this decision and recommendation can be made by GST Council. The threshold limit of turnover in respect of goods and services can be recommended by the GST Council. GST rates, any special rate and special provision with respect to Arunachal Pradesh, Mizoram, Manipal, all these are northeastern states. So any special provision has to be made. It can be decided by the GST Council. Any other matter relating to GST as the council may decide. So whatever GST related matters are there, it is taken, the last decision is taken by the GST Council, and GST Council is a group of members which is headed by Nirmala Sitharaman and other finance ministers of the state, and the decision is taken through voting. So with this we have completed a quick revision of the theory notes relating to module 1, that is introduction to GST. So thank you students, we have completed the revision of module 1. Thank you so much.